today we are talking on the little bit leftover details of the core design, the specifications, and then I'm going to solve one numerical here in front of you, which is from a set of numericals example 7.1 to 7.10. The very important numericals or n problems. Please kindly go through them yourself also. Each one is different from each other, so this is very important. Okay, in the last lecture, if you remember, we talked about there were two ratios I told you, and this was the table 7.2 in front of you. I'm talking from the book R.K. Agarwal, Principles of Electric Machine Design. So there was two ratios I discussed at that time. The first ratio was that the ratio of the net iron area divided by the area of the circumscribed circle. Now, what was net iron area in variable form? This net iron area was equal to AI or A net, that was actually found out, and in the denominator you had pi d square by 4. This was either AI or A net, whatever variable you want to use is totally up to you. Now, when you have these two variables over there, and there is another ratio which is depicted in this table. In this you have the gross area divided by again the area of the circumscribed circle, and here in variable form this is AG divided by pi d square by 4. Now over here, if you remember, we talked about two areas over there, and the relationship in these two areas, if you remember, AG was equal to AI divided by KS. And what was KS? KS was the stacking factor that was in the range of 0.85 to 0.9. Now, if you are working on a two-step core, okay, let me call this one, this ratio as, actually it's not written in the book over there, so I will just go with this one. So if you are working on a two-step core and you have your AG divided by pi d square by 4, and then in the second column you have your AI divided by pi d square by 4. So for a two-step core, this AG over here is equal to 0.79. and for your net iron area this is equal to 0.71. Now this has been deduced. Now the point actually I want to explain over here again from the last lecture was this, that how this 0.71 and 0.79 are calculated. Now your AI or A net was based on some dimensions over there. If you are using a two-step core, your AI was equal to the formula that was actually proven out at that time was equal to 0.6, actually not this one, let me go with the other one. You have AG equal to 0.56 d square. Now if it was a two-step core, how this formula was proven over there? I have given you the assignment as well, but I'm going a little bit deep into how that assignment is going to be solved. Now, I told you at that time the core area of the gross area was equal to AB plus AB minus B square. Okay? We gave this formula over there based on A and B dimensions over there. Now, this A and B, they are based on some certain angle based on D. So, if I draw that again over here, supposingly, I have that circumscribed circle again over here, and in this circumscribed circle again, I have this as the first step, and I have this one as the second step. So what was this dimension equal to? This dimension up till this point was equal to A, and this dimension was equal to B, and you can subsequently have it. Now this length over here was equal to D, this length was also equal to D over there. This angle was equal to theta 1, this angle was equal to theta 2. Now here from this diagram, can you easily tell me your A and B in terms of D and the angle. G, what is that angle? G, A and B in terms of D and the angle, using certainly some trigonometric identity. G, what is that? A is equal to, what is A? A over here is for this triangle, this is actually the hypotenuse. Okay? So this is equal to D or G. What is cos phi equal to? Supposingly I am talking about cos theta 2. That will be equal to G. भाई cos होगा तो ये लेंथ होगी base and by hypotenuse. So this is equal to B. So this will be equal to B over D. So this means B is equal to D cos theta 2. And then what about cos of theta 1? A over D. A over D, not A over B. This is equal to A over D. So this means A is equal to D times cos theta 1. Now based on these two equations over here, can you find out for this one, this theta 1 and theta 2, can you find out how are they related over here in this equation? So when you put in this relation over here, AG, this equation will be in terms of theta 1 and theta 2. Now, is there a relationship between theta 1 and theta 2 over there? G. Is there a relationship between theta 1 and theta 2? Yeah. Is there a relationship between theta 1 plus theta 2? Okay, one relationship he is just told that theta 1 plus theta 2 should be equal to 90 degrees. Yes, this will hold true because they are actually in a circumscribed circle over there. So this will be true. So when you are going to put in value of A and B over here in this equation, can you use this theta 1 plus theta 2 equal to 90? Now what I mean by it, I am not going to solve this over here because this is actually for the 3-step core hint I am giving you. You have to make this AG in terms of only D angle or D value and the angle theta 1 or theta 2. So when this equation will be in terms of D, which is already a constant value, we already know that D value, we only want that AG is in terms of one angle, that is theta 1 or theta 2. Now when you have that equation, your gross area will be maximum when you are going to take the derivative of gross area divided by any angle d theta 1 or d theta 2 and equate it equal to 0. Because the area, it is increasing, so at the maximum point of the area, the slope of that would be 0. So that's why you have to just make your equation either in term. Now in 3-step code, that is actually the assignment, you have theta 1, theta 2, theta 3. But here in that case, that will be theta 1 plus theta 2 plus theta 3 should be equal to 90. So you just have to make that one in terms of one variable, and that one variable can be just used in this AD equation, and then you can just derivate it equal to whatever variable, equate it equal to 0, and you have the answer. Okay? Just do some brainstorming on this, and in this way you can find out that overall, now when you are going to find out for a 2-step core, I am not going to do that over here, your AG comes out to be equal to 0.618 D square. Okay? By doing all that calculation, equated equal to 0 and all that stuff over there. So you have AG equal to 0.618 D square. Now when you have 0.618 D square over there, now based on this one, you can find out your net iron area. So net iron area was equal to AG multiplied by KS. Now in your book they have taken somewhere the stacking factor KS equal to 0.9. Now that is not true because it depends upon the workmanship, the material and the laborer which you are using over there. So it can be 0.85 or something, but I am just going with the book over there. So if this is equal to 0.9, so AG is equal to 0.618 into 0.9 as used in the book. So this comes out to be equal to 0.56 d square. So this is that 0.56 d square. Now this 0.56 d square, if I come back on this relation over here, now what is this equal to? 0.56 d square. So when I have the gross area, what is equal to 0.56 d square? Oh, sorry, not in this one. This is equal to here 0.56 d square divided by pi d square by 4. D square and d square cancel, and this ratio is going to be coming out equal to 0.71. This is telling you that 71% of the circumscribed circle is net iron. And then over here, since this was 0.56 d square, from where it was coming? This was coming when you have multiplied your Ag by second factor over here. So now instead of just this Ai, if I have Ag, what was Ag? Ag was equal to 0.618 d square. So here in this relation, over here, if I can write 0.618 divided by pi d square by 4, d square and d square cancel, and you arrive at 0.79. So if you have a stacking factor of 0.9, this is telling you for a two-step core, your net iron area is 71% and your gross area is 79%. So something like 8% is being consumed inside that insulated silicon resin, which is in between the lamination, or maybe an air gap also. And the same factor, when you are going to do it for a three-step core, this is written in the book, so this comes out to be 0.84, and in this one this is equal to 0.75. Now you can see when you are increasing it, the factor is also increasing. And if you take on over here for a four-step core, this comes out to be equal to 0.87 for the gross area and 0.78 for the net iron area. Okay. In your other book, that is Indrajit Dasgupta, they have given this whole table over there. In this book, they have only given up till 4-step over there, and in the numericals or end problems, they are also using this one over there. Okay. So this percentage fill area is very important, but practically, certainly, as you will continue to move it on up till an level step core, these factors are actually going to move up till 99% or 98% over there. And in practical transformers, which are very good from a good manufacturer, the percentage fill area is approximately 95 plus over there, because more area, more steps means less area or air gaps over there, and less air gap means less leakage flux over there. Okay. So this table is very important. Okay. So this table is from that page number 217 over here on this slide. Now when we have designed this overall transformer core, now this core over here, if I now change over here, this core is over here for this single phase. Supposingly I am just having a single phase transformer in mind. A winding was done on this one. Okay. This is a low voltage winding done first, as I have told you previously also, that low voltage winding will be done on it first. Why? Because it has less chances of partial discharge current flowing towards the core. The core is electrically at neutral or it is grounded. So if you put the high voltage winding first, and certainly if you are designing a distribution transformer from 11 kV, there will be some partial discharge current flowing over there. You are coming from power system course, I guess in the last semester, so you have an idea that what are corona losses or leakage current. Now there is no concept of insulator in power engineering. This is very important. When you will study the subject of high voltage engineering in the next semester, you will be told that there is actually no concept of insulator. We know this table is good, we know it's an insulator, but it will also conduct, if I supposingly give at this point and this point approximately 50 kV or 70 kV, there will be some current flowing. Even I have these two plates supposingly over here, and this distance is supposingly 4 centimeter, 5 centimeters, and if I apply more than something 70 or 80, the air will start to conduct. Similarly, in a transformer, the materials which were used over there, the windings, the asbestos material, the paper, or any other stuff, they start to conduct after a certain amount of time because they are under constant dielectric pressure. So the low voltage winding is done first, and then afterwards on this low voltage winding, we have the high voltage winding which is done over here. Now when this is done, the high voltage winding is done on the outside, the low voltage winding is there on the inside over there, and certainly there is going to be a small duct over here. This small duct which I am making shaded over here is there for the cooling of the internal winding, and certainly on the high voltage winding internal side also. So this over here is the limb of the transformer. So this region over here from here to here, which I am again making shaded, this one is called as the limb of the transformer. Limbs are those parts on which the windings are actually erected. I have not drawn the other phase over here. You can draw it yourself. Now, this portion over here, if I extend this one, this portion over here, which is connecting one limb to the other, or from the below part, this portion, they are called as the yoke of your transformer. Now, if you remember, yoke word was used in machines where we had to complete the flux path in DC machines or in AC machines. Here, the purpose is also the very same. Because the flux is being produced in this limb, we want to complete the flux path. Now, here very important point, if you have a simple, this is a conceptual question, just answer me on this one. If you have a simple ferromagnetic material, a rod, and on this rod, I have done some like supposedly 100 turns, and then I have another 100 turns done. So this is NP, this is NS, and I am applying supposedly 100 volts here. What voltage I will get over here? G. Simple bar, ferromagnetic material, it may be laminations, it may be simple iron. I am not concerned about eddy current losses at present. Will I get something on the secondary side? Yes. G. And is this a transformer? फ्लक्स लीकेज तो बात की बात है कि एक और बहुत बड़ा प्रॉब्लम है जी एनीवन एल्स जी theoretically speaking this is a transformer but practically since flux has to flow through the air gap and complete the path, and the air is not a very good conductor of the magnetic flux. So the reluctance of the air is much greater than the material that is used. So if the reluctance of the path is very small, and if you remember your relationship of the flux was equal to what? Flux was equal to ampere turns divided by the reluctance, the total reluctance. So when there is an air gap, now here it's not just an air gap, it's actually a full length of air gap. So what will happen? This total reluctance is very large. So the flux value will be so small, and since you are applying an AC waveform on the primary input, so when you are going to measure that, supposedly you have some very sensitive equipment and you are trying to measure whatever flux is flowing inside the core, it will be very small variations over here because the reluctance is very large. So theoretically speaking, this is a transformer, but practically it cannot work. Why it cannot work? Because there is no flux completion path available from a very good material which can allow the flux to flow easily. So if you want to make this one into a transformer, the only way is this, that somehow complete the flux path over here through some material which is having relative permeability greater than 1. Something like 100, 1000, 2000, something like that. Iron has a relative permeability something in the range of 1500 to 2500. So theoretically speaking, you need a yoke. So in this portion, the yoke is very important part of the device. Now, question here arises that this yoke, should we make it also circular or stepwise? G. Listen again the question, should we make the yoke also stepwise circular or there is no need of it? Now what I mean by that, listen this very carefully. You will not find this diagram actually in somewhere in your book. So if I have, now I am seeing the transformer from the top. Okay? Transformer is there. Now I am seeing it from the top without cutting anything. So this is a circumscribed circle, and in this circumscribed circle, supposingly I have a two-step core. Okay? And this is the second limb, and actually second limb, I'm just using with a single phase core. मैं अभी 3-phase core की तरफ नहीं जा रहा हूँ. This is just like this. Okay? I'm seeing from the top of the transformer, these are two limbs and windings are going to be done on them. Now question over here is it that when I am going to combine these two, should this combination or this combining should also be stepped, or it can be just simple square or rectangle? क्यों? हमने सर्कुलर क्यों किया था या उसको स्टेप वाइज क्यों किया था ताकि वो सर्कुलर नजर आए? क्या फायदा था? नहीं, एयर गैप के अलावा एक और चीज बहुत करंट कहाँ से आ गया इधर है? कटिंग तो वैसे एक्सपेंसिव है स्टेप वेज की, लेकिन हमने इस कोर को स्क्वायर सर्कल बनाने की कोशिश क्यों की थी? पहले लेक्चर में बता चुका हूँ यार. The parameter of a square versus the parameter of a circle, the length of the winding reduces. The length of the winding reduces, the resistance of the winding reduces. This was the main and the first reason. This is actually 90% of the reason that you are trying to make the core circular, because when you are going to do the winding on it, that winding is going to have less parameter or less circumference. If you had a square wave or a square core supposedly, you have to have a larger parameter or circumference of that square. So making it in a circle, maybe 2-step, 3-step, 4-step or up to 11-step, you are actually trying to reduce the length of your winding. And reducing the length of the winding, we know this is equal to RL over A. The length of the winding reduces. Now question arises, क्या yoke को भी circular करें? क्या yoke के ऊपर कोई winding आनी है? It's just a subdivision part. So technically speaking, there is no advantage of making the yoke as circular. It can be just a rectangular piece of lamination joined together. So if I just zoom in over here, and supposedly I want to draw the laminations. Now inside the limb you will see the laminations like this. ठीक है, ये आप ऊपर से देख रहे हो, you are seeing the laminations like this over there. Similarly, you will see the laminations on this limb over here like this. So these two are the limbs of your transformer. Now when you are going to join them together by this one over here, it will be again laminations like this. Now question here arises that this yoke over here has to be how much area over here? Should the yoke area, that is AY, should be equal to the net iron area, or in other words, let me call it the gross area. G. Answer it. Now, since whenever we are designing a transformer, our first and foremost equation, let me use a darker color over here. If we have a transformer, we know the flux inside the transformer. And for that flux inside the transformer, we have selected a B value, which we have taken from the material BH curve. And based on that BH curve, we have selected the core area. So that core area is actually the area of the limb over here. Now, the same flux is going to pass through the yoke. So technically speaking, it should be the same area. But since we want the yoke to not have that much losses, so we will keep the yoke area not equal, but we will keep the yoke area 15% to 1.2 or sorry 25% of the gross area of the core. Why we are doing it? So that losses inside the yoke are small. और हम यहाँ क्यों बढ़ा सकते हैं? Very good reason. We are not using a circular core. They are simple straight lamination. Nothing fancy about it. So the cost भी इतनी नहीं लगनी, wastage भी नहीं है. So it's better to increase the area by 15 to 25%, not more than that. Now, I don't know how many of you have an idea. In this COVID pandemic, whenever we are having that infrared detection temperature over there, for transformers there are thermal cameras. And when those thermal cameras are activated, they measure that infrared radiation which is coming out from a transformer. And if you see a practical transformer, the limbs are the maximum hot temperature regions. And the yokes are the lesser ones. Why? Because in the yokes you are having a larger yoke area, so the B value of the yoke is decreased. Same flux is passing. When area of the yoke is increased, what will happen? B will reduce. So less B means in the yoke, less core losses inside the yoke. So you can increase it from 15 to 25% of the total gross area that you have. Now, in which direction you are going to increase the area, this is very important. Why? Because if I go back on this one, what was this circle area? This circle diameter was equal to D, and this length from here to here, this was A, and certainly from here to here, this was also A. Okay? It was a symmetrical thing, so it was A there, A there. It's a two-step core. Even if you take a 11-step core, it will still be A, the highest lamination. Now this A, if this is A, the dimension of this side of the yoke will also be A. इसको A से ज़्यादा करने का कोई फायदा नहीं है, क्योंकि वहाँ फ्लक्स नहीं आ रहा. उससे अगर हम बढ़ाएंगे बाहर उसको, it is not going to take the flux. There is air involved over there. So this dimension, which we are going to call as the depth of the yoke, dy. This depth of the yoke dy is going to be A, that is the length of the largest lamination size inside your limb. So when we are talking about AY is going to be equal to dy into HY. What is dy? Dy is the depth of the yoke, H is the height of the yoke. And since this is a top view from the top of the transformer, and if I go back over here on this one, what is height? Height is this value over here. And if I convert this one into a three-dimensional portion, this distance is that A or dy. I hope you are getting the idea what I am trying to tell. Height is from the front, the height of the yoke. So now dy or A is the same, just like this. So whenever you are going to try to find out the area of the yoke, first of all, this is actually multiply, not divide actually. Don't confuse, this is 1.15 to 1.25 times Ag. So whatever you have the gross area, increase it by 15 or 20, or even you don't want to increase, it's totally up to you. The only disadvantage would be that the core losses will be a little higher in the yoke. So when you are having this one, when you have calculated AY, you already know your DY because that is fixed. You can find out HY very easily then, because DY is already A, you know your AY, and you can have your HY. Any questions with this yoke? Okay, I hope this is clear, and I guess you can easily extend this to a three-phase core type transformer also. Just for a three-phase core, you will have to have another limb over here and complete the whole thing. Okay. So now coming on to the whole transformer, the dimensions of the transformer, which are very important over here. Okay, anyway. Now, when you are talking about a single phase transformer, and on this single phase transformer, certainly there is going to be a cylinder involved over here, and that cylinder distance over here is that D over here, and similarly a similar kind of cylinder is on this length over here. This is D, and if I change this one to this one, this length is equal to A, this length is equal to A, and since this is the yoke, this is equal to H times HY, height of the yoke, and if I take it from this center and the center of the limb, this distance is called as D, capital D over here, and then I am talking about the width of the transformer over here. This is the width of the transformer W, and when I am talking about the height of my transformer core, this is my height over here. And in the second lecture we have decided on this one that this distance to this distance is the width of the window area, and from here till here this is HW. Agreed on these? Okay, we have done this one. Just 2-3 things new. One is the D, that is actually from center of one limb to the other limb, that is the distance between the two limbs over there. Then you have W, and then you have height of the transformer, that is H over there. Now, can you write D in terms of other variables from this equation, or from this diagram, sorry? What is D equal to? G, what is D equal to? Width of the window, okay, plus A or D? यार ये इसको मैं खुद जाना नहीं चाह रहा हूँ चेयरमैन साहब के पास, वरना अगर मैं गया तो उस बंदे की नौकरी जाएगी या वो कहीं से आएगा. Still not listening to it. Because you know, Dr. K. Hassan is lethal on these things. He does not. मैं तो ऐसा करके खड़ा हूँ. एक ही कलर में आ जाए. बाय बाय. वो उससे भी फायदा नहीं होना, वो तार का आइडिया है इस चीज़ का। सबसे पहले बटन बंद करना है और उसको रीस्टार्ट। दिस इज द प्रीमियर रूम ऑफ यूनिटी इलेक्ट्रिकल डिपार्टमेंट एंड ये हाल है इसका। खैर एनीवे, D is equal to WW plus D over here. Why D? Because D is the cylinder, the circumscribed cylinder over there. Okay? So you are have to take this one from this side to this side. Okay? The actual stamping is A, but the cylinder which you are having it over there on which the windings are going to be done, that is D over there. So D is equal to WW plus D, and the depth of the yoke is equal to A, we already know about it, and the height H. What is H equal to, G? G, is H equal to height of the window plus 2 times HY. Okay? HY is the yoke, and then this is H, and the W, the capital W, the width, ये किसके इक्वल है? D plus A. ठीक है, बिकॉज दिस इज फिजिकली, ठीक है, फिजिकल जो हमारे पास है उसकी डायमेंशन। नाउ इफ आई एक्सटेंड दीज वंस ऑन द थ्री फेज ट्रांसफॉर्मर, now if I extend these ones on a three phase transformer, same dimensions just will be changed, and then I have this one, this is D, similarly this is the D, this is the D, and from the center of this to the center of this is capital D, and from this one to this one, this is D, and this one to this one, this is the width of the window, this one is the width of the window, this is the height of the window, and last one, which is very important, is this width, and certainly the height, and certainly not to miss the. So this is that total all overall transform. Now based on this, can we write down the same equations again that we did for this transformer over here? What is D equal to? Capital D. D is equal to WW plus D. Okay, and capital W is equal to 2 times D plus G. ये वही है, same thing. A, A, and then I have the height, which is equal to 2 times HY plus HW. It's almost same, nothing fancy about it, the same thing. Please understand the difference between D and A. What is D and A for those who are still confused on this one? If I have a circumscribed circle over here, and inside this circumscribed circle I have a 2-step or a 3-step core over here, this length is called as that A, but the outside dimensions of this one, this is called as the diameter of the circumscribed circle D. There is certainly some difference over there. and if you will go on towards a higher step core, certainly this distance or this difference is going to be very, very small. Now, before I proceed on towards the numerical over here, there are two design topologies which I want to discuss over there, because I am taking two books in parallel. At present, I am going with this R.K. Agarwal book, the other book Indrajit Das Gupta. Now, the practical method of designing a transformer is this, as we have done in the previous lecture. First of all, find out ET, find out the area required by choosing a selection of B magnetic field density, and then afterwards, when you have found out the core, now then design the LT winding and the HT winding. And when you have designed those two windings, now listen to this very carefully, when you have designed those two windings, then you will know, okay, what is the height of our transformer, what is the width of our transformer, that is the most suitable way. But there is a case, just like this book, where you are not designing a very big transformer, you are designing a supposedly a 20, 30 kVA, 50 kVA transformer, and for that transformer the tank sizes are confined. So in that case, there is a condition that the height of the window divided by the width of the window should be in the range of 2 to 4. Now, there are some problems over here because of this. What this means by, when the height of the window divided by the window width, supposing you select something 3 is the ideal value, somewhere in between. Now, when you have selected that window, what this will pose a problem, because supposing you are designing a single phase transformer, I'm just drawing it again, a core over here. Now, when you are going to design a transformer winding and you are limited, okay, this is the height, this is the width of the transformer. Now, first of all, you have to put LT winding. LT winding has very small number of turns. You will do it very easily. But afterwards, there will be a small oil duct, and then there will be a high voltage winding. High voltage winding will have a large number of turns over there because it has a larger voltage over there. Now, if a transformer is being designed, your LT winding should cover the whole length. Very well, good, no problem. It will cover it, but somehow it does not cover the whole length. It only covers up till this much distance. This distance is left over. आपकी टर्म्स भी खत्म हो गई, ठीक है, बिकॉज वी वर कंस्ट्रेंट. आपको पहले से बता दिया गया था कि आपकी हाइट ऑफ द विंडो इतनी है, आपने यहां से वाइंडिंग करना शुरू की एंड इट डिड नॉट वेंट अप टिल द एंड पॉइंट, तो वहीं पे खत्म हो गई. इसमें आपको क्या करना पड़ेगा? Now here you can't start the HT winding on it. Why? Because what will happen? The oil duct will have a variable distance from the core. Flux linkage ज़्यादा हो जाएगी. Now this time you will again redesign the winding by either changing the size of the conductor or changing the orientation of your conductor so that it takes the full length over here. जब ये full length हो जाएगी, then you will have an oil duct, and on that oil duct then you will do the HT winding. So keeping your height and the width of the window fixed has constraints that you are going to use a selected number of conductors which will fix your constraints. This goes well if you are designing a small transformer और उसके लिए आपके पास पहले से फिक्स्ड है कि आपका टैंक कितना होना चाहिए. अब टैंक अगर इतना बड़ा है तो इसका मतलब है कि हाइट उससे थोड़ी कम होगी, विड्थ उसके हिसाब से होगी. So you are going to design it. But when you are designing big transformers, supposedly something 100 kVA, 200 kVA or 400 kVA, just like this outside our department, then in that case you are not going to go towards the tank design first. You are going to design the limb, LT winding design first, oil duct, and then LT winding design first, and then based on the width of your winding, supposedly, what I mean by that, if you are going with the other way, this is the core, इसके ऊपर आपने LT winding design कर दी. Afterwards this one, let me use another color for this one, I hope the colors are a little bit visible. This is the oil duct, and then afterwards you have the HT winding which you have designed on this one. So this will be your HT winding which I am making it marked over. Now when you have designed this HT winding, now you know that the other limb is going to be how much apart. So when you are going to repeat the same process for the other limb, then the distance between the two has to be some threshold value. बिल्कुल close नहीं रख सकते. Why? Because that is A phase, that is B phase. दोनों phases के दरमियान में भी there is a line to line voltage. So when this distance is kept, then afterwards you can know, okay, this much is the yoke size. This is the actual design technique involved whenever you are designing a distribution transformer of something 200 kVA to something 500 or 2500 kVA. इसमें आपको टैंक डिजाइन सबसे एंड में करना है. But in this R.K. Agarwal book, chapter number 7, in some questions, in fact a lot of questions, they have confined you that okay, this is the height of the window, this is the width of the window, you have to design it in that. That called as you have constraints over on your designing design. तो उसमें आपको हो सकता है आपकी वाइंडिंग पूरी ना आ रही हो और वो कैसे नहीं पूरी आ रही होगी. Supposingly you are using a conductor which is this shape. Now when you are going to use a conductor of this shape, this means they are going to be stacked together like this. So when you are going to stack together and you are going to do the turns, maybe they don't complete it. So what you will have to do, maybe you will have to change the shape of the conductor. Either a square one, either a rectangle one. ये बहुत ज़्यादा डिटेल है, हम इसको जब वाइंडिंग डिजाइन करेंगे, we will talk about this again. But just for now, the windings design is one constraint. The other way is this, as followed by this book, that your tank size and all that stuff gives you a constraint value. अब आपने उसके अंदर अपनी winding को खुद डिजाइन करना है, so that there is a symmetry over there. Please remember, in transformer design, the limbs have to be symmetric. If they are not symmetric, you will have JXP of one limb different, the other limb different, the other limb different. So a transformer will be not symmetric. Transformers or three-phase machines, any three-phase machine, they have to be symmetric, which means that their R1 or JXP, they have to be same for all the three phases. Otherwise, there will be imbalancing on your transformer or your machine. Okay? Now, coming on to the question that is done in this one. This is I am doing question number 7. Example number 7.3 from your book. Now, question is this. One thing very important. Please, in the design course, you are going to be given numericals and short questions. Whatever that question number is in your midterm or final or quiz, please write that question number. अपनी numbering खुद नहीं करनी. It becomes very difficult for me to check on that part. Secondly, if you are solving a question and you have supposedly ended at half of your page, please start the next question from the next half. अक्सर बच्चे इस कोर्स में भी and in machines course, they do this mistake कि आपने क्वेश्चन पेपर से पढ़ते पढ़ते डाटा एक सफ़े पे लिख लिया, अब आपका सोल्यूशन अगले सफ़े से स्टार्ट होना है, वहीं पे आप गलती करते हैं. You have chosen the wrong value क्योंकि आप पेज पलटते हुए you will do the wrong. So please start a new question from a new page so that you know. And please every time have a habit of writing down the data on your answer sheet. As I've told you, this is a design paper, design course. You will be given ample amount of time. I will try on that one. So don't worry about the time. Please, whatever data, because in this paper, it's not just like machines where आपको speed दे दी है, EA दे दी है, RA दे दी है, and you just have to find out the losses.